All right, so I'm going to do this video in a completely different location. I don't know if this is going to be good because of the lighting. See, if I turn it this way, too much light. If I turn it this way, oh, okay, hold on. This might be better. All right, this might be better. So I'm at the um, dinner table, and I'm doing it because obviously we have updated this piece of furniture and there's going to be a video on it. If I don't know when it's going to be posted, it could be before this, but that's why I'm in here and I'm just testing it out to see what it's like. But anyway, you don't care. But I got this Ask HershNoeie question. I'm going to try to remember kind of the gist of it. I read it a few times, but this girl sent a link to her Facebook, and it shows her and her boyfriend. She's white, he's black, and they have been dating, I think, for a few years. I don't think they're engaged or anything. She doesn't say, and it doesn't really say on the Facebook profile. It just says in a relationship. And her big question was it Ask HershNoeie, and her big issue was that she wanted to know how to handle her family, a very close family member who makes backhanded compliments, right? She says basically whenever her boyfriend is around, there is a male family member who tries to bait him into, this isn't her words, these are my words, but basically bait him into conversations like that involve race or involve very controversial topics, right? And she says this person never does this when it's someone who's white, but does it when it's someone who's black. And she says that also there's these backhanded compliments. One time he made a compliment, or not a compliment, but basically was talking about why white women go for black men, and was saying that it was because they are, the rumors, not just one in particular, but a few, right? And when she mentioned that, what do you mean by that? He was kind of like saying that, why are you upset about it? Or, I'm not saying anything mean. Actually, it's, I wish it was a problem I had. I wish it was a problem that I had. Something like that, right? And I don't want to go too far into it because it's all stupid. But the girl wants to really and truly know how to handle that. She said because now she sees a lot of stuff online, and she said maybe because the climate that we're in, she's paying more attention to it. But she just sees a lot of negative online. You see a lot of people arguing about stuff, mainly involving race. And, her biggest thing is what to do. Do I just shut everybody off or, address it? What do I do? She mentions that her boyfriend also feels a bit uncomfortable, doesn't really know how to react because he gets these questions mainly from this one gentleman. And whenever the person asks the question, this was one of them, when the person asks these weird questions, the rest of her family just kind of turns and looks for an answer. So it's kind of like the guy makes these questions up that are controversial about existing events or protests that are going on, his thoughts about it or whatever. And instead of the family saying like, hey, let's focus on eating or let's focus on whatever, they kind of wait for a reaction or wait for a response, right? So this girl wants to know what to do because now she doesn't feel comfortable being around this person. Here's my take on it. People are very, and I've come to learn this, that people are very and she goes on to say that there's people in her family too. She doesn't want to make it seem like people in her family are racist. She doesn't know about some she thinks are, but she says that there are others who she knows are not. They haven't really mentioned anything in the past or shown any signs of it. But, on the same token, it's not like they have a huge amount of exposure to black people either, or anybody of a different race, right? Here's the big thing. Right now is a very scary time for some people. The country is changing. And you can take someone who may not be a bigot or a racist, but they're still uncomfortable with how society is changing so quickly. You see what I'm saying? They're not. I think that people want to seem a little bit more farther along in how they view people than what they really are. I mean, if you really and truly dissect a person, you ask certain key questions and you dissect certain things, you can kind of get a general idea of where that person's head is. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're racist. It just means that they're very intolerant. But the person that you're talking about in particular, and I forget the girl's name, but I never mention names anyway, but the person you're referring to, and she gives the idea of she tells you what relation is to her. You have some people that want you to go down a rabbit hole. And are they basically trolls? Yeah, they are. There are some people who can't handle awkward situations. And when I've noticed when people don't have enough exposure to somebody that's different than them, some folks are very awkward. Typically, maybe they're fine, but they become socially awkward. And when people become socially awkward, the way they handle that situation is going to vary. Some people become quiet. Some people don't make eye contact when they talk to someone. Or they ask really stupid questions. Right? It could be that the person is a little bit of a bigot and is not comfortable with the fact that your boyfriend is with you. Could very well be the case. And as far as your family not saying anything, it could be that they may not want to add additional attention to this one person in your family. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes people don't want to fan the flames, or they know, and these individuals are typically very triggered, right? So if you were to basically counteract something and say that's not true, or there's you have to look at it from your boyfriend's standpoint, that this is a very inappropriate question, or this is something that should not be asked, then it probably will add more fuel to the fire, because that's basically going down the rabbit hole, right? It's kind of like people like that dangle a carrot, and they figure that you're going to go for that carrot, and then when you do, they pull it and keep pulling it and keep pulling it, and further down the rabbit hole you go, and they take you through so many different holes and tunnels and different things that is rolling around in their mind. And one of the reasons why I have said that I don't engage with people who are bigots is because you're going to spend tremendous amounts of time in a rabbit hole. Tremendous amounts of time. And so it doesn't make any sense to do that. It really doesn't. And I totally agree with standing on principle, right? And I it's great that you don't think the way that your relative does, that you're beyond that. There are some people who are not. I personally I'm trying my best to not react to stuff on social media like I used to. What, dude? I'm trying not to react like I used to on social media to certain things, right? Because some people may have a genuine question, But my thing is I'm not here to teach you. It goes back to, there's posts on Facebook where people post that, I have people who have different opinions than mine, but I still keep them as friends, or I haven't deleted them. Can you say the same? And it's like, good for you. That doesn't show that you're a quality person. It could mean that you take the easy way out. You don't challenge that person's beliefs, or you don't stand for much, and you're just saying, well, whatever. There's a whole list of reasons, right? A lot of folks that have those posts, they typically ignore the people that make hateful and racist statements. There are other people who don't have time for that. It's just a toxic, I believe very strongly in toxic environment creates more toxic issues. I just do. And once you start to go down that rabbit hole, what is that? It's the kid's tablet. Once you go down that rabbit hole, you end up basically covered in the same dirt and muck that person that led you down that rabbit hole to begin with. So what I would do in the circumstance is completely ignore the person. Completely ignore the person. And I think that sends a much more stronger message of, and I'm the type of person that I'm pretty good at ignoring people. Especially when I know it's going to be some BS, or you're going to have, they're waiting to sit there and espouse their views. One of the big issues is that some people are very much wanting to control what's going on right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. People can't leave their house, or if they do, they have to, suit up. There's a lot of political stuff going on. Sorry. Allergies. There's a lot of political stuff going on. There's a lot of, racial strife and different protests and different things. And so some people are pissed because they don't like seeing those types of things. There are some people who want the status quo. A lot of people want the status quo, and they don't want to see people stand up for their rights. This is not new. This has happened throughout history. It's happened throughout history. You know what I mean? Like any major change, there's always been a large group of people who are opposed to it. And that's never going to change. And some of those people react violently, and we've seen that happen. But a lot of people will basically do small-scale microaggressions or passive-aggressive type stuff. And this is an example of that. They don't really have the guts or the fortitude to go to someone that they don't know in person and ask these questions. They don't go to these large gatherings and do that. But they will do it online because it's safe. Now, there are some that do. Don't get me wrong. There are some people that do. But there are others, a big chunk of people, who spend most of their time online doing battles and talking about how they think that this is stupid because it doesn't affect them. When something doesn't affect someone, they don't care. Racial issues, when it affects a different group of people, the people who are not affected, a lot of times can care less. But when it starts to affect them, that's when they have an issue with it. That's the primitive side of the brain. Some people, a lot of people, thankfully, don't like to see any sort of injustice. They don't like to see any symbolism that is hatred or viewed as being hatred or disgusting. There's no discussion for it. There are some people who have, it's just a different way that people were raised, a different mentality, different culture altogether. There are just some people that have that. Some people don't. Some people do. Go ahead. Yeah, a lot of new stuff, Zozo. You didn't even see. So there are some people that just can't get there. And I'm not the person that's going to be a teacher or a professor. I'm not here to teach someone that their views are offensive. It's just, or their questions are offensive. That's not my role. I will take note. I won't forget. I will take note. And keep in mind that it's not always about skin tone. There are some people who look like me that are by far worse than people who don't look like me. Just in terms of their viewpoint, just in terms of their mentality. So it's not always just very cut and dry. There are some people who I definitely will stay clear of because it's just not going to be a good environment. Now, that may make me weak. That may make me a simp. That may make me a chump. That may make me a lot of things. And I'll be all those things all day long. But on the same token, I know that I don't have to sit there and lower myself in order to get on that person's level and debate things that are, in my view, not something that's up for debate, especially when it comes to equality and respect for people. Huh?
There's a small moth in the house.
Okay. Every time there's like a spider or a moth, everybody asks for me to take care of it. Whatever, but whatever. So anyway, personally, if I were you, I would just avoid the person. I wouldn't even make discussions. Some people will disagree with that, but it seems like you're in a lose situation. When there's a no-win situation, there's no point in a debate. I would look at the person when they ask the question, and then I would basically ignore them. Because that says a whole lot more than getting into a debate and you feeling uncomfortable. Make the other person feel uncomfortable. That's a statement by itself. Saying nothing sometimes says a lot. Just look at a person and then just basically continue on. Because if it's stupid, it's stupid. I really and truly value the limited amount of space that I have up here for just basic stuff to begin with. You know what I'm saying? I'll have a lot of space up there already. But I have a lot of different things on my plate, a lot of responsibilities. The last thing that I need floating around in my head to take up the little bit of space that I do have left is someone who has a very stupid view, or in my opinion, a stupid view or a stupid question. It's just, there's no point in that. Life's too short. You know, this woman right there, that's my mother. She passed away last year. And that, after she passed away, changed my view on a lot of different things. Life is way too short to be worried about someone who does not matter and for questions that are not for you to answer. Let them find the answers someplace else. Let them do their own research. Let them do self-discovery. Let them be open. When someone's open, they're open for a reason. But if someone wants to sit there and debate something that they've already made their mind up on, there's no point in debating that. Now, some people will disagree, and that's fine. But me personally, there's no point in that. I would say that your better bet would be to ignore the person. I don't think this necessarily reflects the rest of your family. It could. But I think that it could be, too, that they don't want to make the situation worse or make it even more uncomfortable. Right? There may be some that do agree with what he's saying. I don't know. But if you're getting mostly questions from this person or anyone in the future, you have a right as a human being to basically not answer a question. You're not obligated to anybody other than your boyfriend. And going through, and I did look through your page, you guys have a great, from what I can tell, a great relationship. You have a lot of friends, a lot of engagement. You guys do a lot of things together. You have a lot of things going for you. I would not waste my time and energy on a person like that, personally. And if it becomes even more awkward, I would stop going to functions that person is a part of. Just say, like if they ask, hey, are you coming to whatever? If such and such is going to be there, probably not. I'm going to have to pass on that. And then explain the reason why. That basically their viewpoints, their questions, the way that they, just how they are, that's just not something that we find acceptable. That's just not something that we feel comfortable being around. And leave it at that. But anyhow, I can go on and on and on. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm being a little bit too weak. I don't know. I just don't have time for stupid. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you join our Discord, which is down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.